Sorry, what was that?
We're just restarting the meeting because the recording hadn't started. So we're just opening the meeting, and thank you everyone for being present. And just noting that Councillor B is not actually visible because she's only on audio link. So if Councillor B could just acknowledge that she's there.
Yes, I'm here in the meeting. Yeah.
Thank you. And we now move to the apologies. We have apologies from Her Worship the Mayor, from Councillors Medwick, Tumahoe and Phelps. And I will move that the apologies from Her Worship the Mayor, Councillor Medwick, Tumahoe and Phelps be received and accepted, and could I have a second?
Yes, I can second that.
Thank you. We'll move to the declarations of interest, and it's noted here there were no changes to the interest register. However, I do have a new context to advise of, and that is that from September I will be chairing the independent chair of the Whangarei District Council Risk Committee as well. So I don't think it conflicts with anything, we should record it. So someone I'd like to move that the conflict of the interest register be amended to include my independent chair of the Whangarei District Council Risk and Assurance Committee. Thank you, Councillor Neil. Thank you. All in favour? We have an aye from Councillor Beard. Thank you.
Yes, and I.
Any urgent items to add to the agenda? Currently showing none. In which case we'll move on to minutes of the previous meeting. Any discussion around the minutes? Any additions, amendments, corrections, etc., etc.? In which case, could we have a mover, please, and resolve that the minutes of the Risk and Assurance Committee meeting held on the 9th of May 2024 be confirmed as a true and correct record. Neil, Councillor Beard, are you able to second?
Yes, I'll second that.
All in favour? Aye, thank you.
Aye.
And I also, please note that I approve that my digital signature be added to the confirmed Risk and Assurance Committee meeting of 9 May 2024. And we now move to the action list.
Good afternoon, Chair and Councillors. The action list has remained the same from last month. There's been no update. Maybe Chair has an update on this.
I did distribute the questionnaires, but unfortunately I didn't get enough responses back to hear the summary of the responses. So at the moment it's sitting a wee bit in limbo. I'm thinking now, and open to guidance on this, that maybe we should move it to next year, because the next meeting's in November, and quite a lot going on between now and November with annual report and all those kind of things. So that's just a suggestion. I mean, we can try and reschedule and do it in November, or we could move to probably May would be better, so we can rediscuss it again in February. And it also gives a longer period of time for councillors that are new on this term to, you know, work with the committee.
It doesn't give a lot of time if changes are suggested, and I do apologise. I think I completely missed that. It doesn't give a lot of time if changes have been suggested to implement them for this triennium. That would be my only concern here.
So maybe reschedule for October and for a November workshop.
Yeah, that can be fitted in. And just give us a nudge if we haven't replied.
What do you think, Leslie? Do you think that's...
Yeah, I'm comfortable with that, yeah.
Creating a huge hump of work when there's a huge hump of work going on anyway? Councillor Beard, what do you think about rescheduling the questionnaires and workshop performance evaluation for after the November meeting, or before the November meeting, for that matter, on the same day as?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it as long as Leslie's happy with it with time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll move that the workshop be rescheduled for on the same day as the November risk insurance review meeting, 2024. Thank you, Councillor Neal. All in favour?
Aye.
Thank you. That is, well, the next item on the agenda with no presentations is the conflict of interest policy, which is also Leslie, so if you'd like to stay there, that would be great.
Yes, so this policy, the staff conflict of interest policy, was overlooked for review from February 2021. So it has been updated with current information. What we've done is to actually include just a little bit more of a description on the purpose of the policy, a bit more clarity on the scope of the policy to include consultants when required. And we've put in a section on principles and ethics, as we did with the sensitive expenditure policy, since they're both pretty much similar policies which requires ethics to be considered when using it. And also a statement of instances of when a person of with interest may have unique expertise, and we may have to utilise that expertise regardless of having a conflict, and how we would manage that. Other than that, I'll take it as read. Answer any questions.
Any suggestions, Councillor?
No, happy with it.
Councillor Beard? Sorry, I keep looking at the
Yes,
screen.
happy with it. Happy with it.
Okay, well, I thought it was, as virtually all the policies that come out of Westland, I thought it was really, really good, and that you captured, the core essence without doing 15 pages, which is quite an impressive thing. I had a couple of little suggestions, mainly because in my other life I've probably seen about 10 conflict of interest policies in the last 3 months, so they've kind of invented a wee bit. One of them, which is something I've already mentioned to Leslie, is with the Office of the Auditor General, as part of their big guideline on conflicts of interest, have this scenarios at the end, and they call them conflicts in everyday life, and they set out the type of scenario and how you would behave in that. They're not all council, there's a whole range of them. And there's already a piece of work being done just summarising all of those. So I showed it to Leslie before and suggested that might be something we add as an appendix. And Leslie thought that's quite a good idea, so I've sort of laid it around. But it's literally funding for a club, family connection to a tender of a contract, employment of a relative, public statement suggesting predetermination, decision affecting land, gifts and hospitality, mixing public and private roles, personal dealings with the tenderer, duties to 2 different organisations, personal conduct of the tenderer, and tenders and responsibility. So if people are happy, I'll give that to Leslie to do into a Western District Council one, because it's come from the Audit Office, so it's not advice from me. And I had a couple of other little suggestions based on the other ones. Under scope, where it refers to contracts and consultants, which I 100% agree with, obviously, and employees. But through the rest of the document, it tends to refer to employees. So I thought it was worth making a statement, if there's the intent, that where it says employees in the rest of the document, it actually encompasses the lot. So that thing you write where the term such and such means blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
Yeah. With the types of interest, personal relationships, etc., I thought it might be worth adding business relationships in there as well.
Yeah, happy with that. Good idea. Yeah.
Yeah. Bias. I've got to read under. So there's pecuniary and non-pecuniary. I think it's a good idea, because I've been literally drowning in the stuff now for quite a few months, to specifically bias and get it into the policy, because it's come up, in other things, and if the word had been there, it would have been quite useful. So just something about some other matters on which the decision made may have the appearance of bias, or may have bias or the appearance of bias. And these are just ideas, so yeah. And the principles and ethics, thought maybe adding, we've got efficient and competent, we could also add honest and impartial in there, and that drafted those recently to codes of conduct and codes of ethics. And this is something I've seen again in a few policies, but I can see arguments for both sides, and that's a specific section and a mention But nothing in this policy shall limit the rights and obligations of staff members or employees who be unpaid. And Western District Council under Protected Disclosures Act, so it was like a very specific statement in there.
Okay.
So they're all just suggestions for consideration.
Okay, yeah, we'll take those back and review them.
And it was all my suggestions. Just do a motion that we
Actually, want those changes.
Well, it depends, because you've got one to do.
We'll review them and decide what we want to do.
And then it will come back to the next meeting.
Does it need to come back?
We
We did with the other one, with the sensitive expenditure, but, yeah, if we make the changes.
Yeah. So I'll move that the report be received, that the updated staff conflict of interest policy be received, and that staff will give consideration to the suggestions made. That's the motion. Councillor Neal. Councillor Beard, okay with that?
Yes. Yep. Not a problem.
All in favour?
Yep.
Aye.
And now it's you again, Ron work plan.
So the rolling work plan, again, this is just a roll forward of last month, move it forward a meeting. The insurance we've pushed back to November because we haven't really made any leeway with it. They're only just starting information gathering, the brokers, so we have no real updates to give on that at the moment. The only update I can give is that we are having to provide a lot more information this time for our material damage, which is our buildings and assets above ground that are insured. For anything over 2 million, we're having to provide year of construction, postcodes, and construction materials. So they wanted to know how they're built, what they're made of. So there's a lot more information there that's required that we would normally give. Underground assets, there's a possibility we may have to look at the loss limits and increase those, trying to keep the premiums down. This is something I'll be having a conversation with our brokers with next week and go off their recommendations, but other councils that are in that collective are also looking to increase their loss limits. Liability insurance, we've only just got the declaration through, but the brokers have said all our consent information needs to be very accurate this time, because that's going to be a big factor. And that's the only update I can give on it.
Have they flagged anything about motor vehicles? Because I have heard from places 25% increases in motor vehicles.
They haven't yet, but we haven't got the declaration through. They haven't asked about motor vehicles yet, so it's usually as they send each one through that they'll give us an update on it.
I've seen some that had none, and then I know there's some that had 25%. In terms of risk.
Hello. Back. Oh.
All right, go. Donna, are you talking to us or are you?
Oh, sorry. Someone walked in my door.
All right. Right, so any questions for Leslie on the work plan?
No.
In that case, I will move that the committee role and work plan be received and seconded. Councillor Neal, Donna, yeah, we're all okay with it?
Yep.
Sorry.
Yep. Yep.
Global Fraud Day, this actually comes from me, and it's because I'm a certified fraud examiner. Every 2 years we get this very substantial report of fraud internationally, which is pretty much everybody behaving bad in different countries, pretty much the same way and all the rest of it. So I just do a summary of it for council, because at the end of the day, fraud is a significant and ever-increasing risk. This is occupational fraud, so this is on top of all the cybers and phishings and those kind of things. So it's just a document for information, but always have to take any questions on it. And currently working on developing a pub quiz educational thing on fraud, try and educate people about it, but make it fun, even though it sounds a bit weird. So quizzes are actually a really good way to educate people. because people engage, I mean, you do the explanation of it, so you get the learning, if people engage with it, you get the competitive streak is here. So like I said, this is just for information, so if anyone's got any questions. And unfortunately, the international indicators are that the fall is due to be going up, and as it always does during a recession, and of course people are less able to cope. The consequences of fall, they're already struggling with. And I personally, through nothing to do with any of my work lives, know of 3 in New Zealand in the last relatively short period. Have you take any questions or comments on the report?
Do you say what percentage of frauds are actually made that these made actually found out about?
I do have that data somewhere. Actually, it's the percentage that they make a guess, but it is only a guess as to how many, because at the end of the day, a lot of frauds don't get reported. So this is really only the tip of the iceberg. And I've got figures around how many actually get their money back, which is not terribly many to be honest, and how many get it back. And there's data around the relationship between the seniority of the person committing it and the amount of it, how quick it takes to find it, and genders and countries and all sorts of things. This is, I've tried to, it does it by all different sectors. So this was obviously focusing on the best match I can get for public sector. There is one thing that was interesting. I mean, you know, we do have a whistleblowing line, the Independence Whistleblowing Line, which has consistently been the top way of detecting fraud since 1996, which is when they started keeping records. There's been a bit of a shift as to how people do the reporting. So it used to be pretty much on the phone, and now there's web-based, actually web-based online forms, and email, telephone, which we use, mail letters, etc., etc. So that's just something that maybe possibly it's worth looking at expanding how
Because that PwC as our lower.
I would imagine they get the same information actually.
Probably.
They have to have someone that's
Yeah.
see it. But yeah, it's probably worth it because it's, at the end of the day, it works.
Yeah.
Any questions on the document, Donna? Sorry, Councillor Beach.
No questions.
More questions, Councillor? Thank you. In that case, I will move that the report be received. All in favour?
Yes. Second that.
Carried. And I'll now move that we resolve that the Fiscal Assurance Committee move into public school session at 1:18. All in favour?
Aye.
Thank you. And we're now adjourned for 2 minutes to disconnect the Zoom meeting.